Welcome back to spooky season here on my channel. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And this year we're getting even spookier, because of what's spookier than a scary movie not having audio description and not being able to understand what's going on. Time to point out all the flaws in the lack of accessibility across classic horror films. So today we're tackling Bride of Frankenstein, which has no known audio description. So if you haven't watched my other videos yet, that's what I'm doing this year. We're using something called the Audio Description Project, which is a website, adp.acb.org, to clarify that none of these titles that I'm reviewing have existing audio description anywhere, or at least, if they did, they would have like an evergreen form either on a digital VOD platform, or they would have it on a physical release. So Bride of Frankenstein has never had audio description created for it, and is here now. So it's actually its 90th anniversary too, which makes it a great title to talk about. So hooray for anniversary releases. So I sat through Bride of Frankenstein. It wasn't like a painful experience. It's one of those films that I should have seen already anyway, to check off I'm a film critic. I'm also a tomato meter approved critic, so I have to figure out, do I throw a fresh tomato or a rotten one at the end of this? But yeah, it's a classic film. David Wayne, he directed the first Frankenstein and was originally given like sort of carte blanche to do it. He was a rising director at the time, and Universal was like, yo, man, what do you want to direct? And he was like, Frankenstein. And then later on, they were like, can you direct a sequel? And he's like, no, I don't want to do just monster movies. I want to do prestige projects. And eventually, of course, money talks. And David ended up returning for Bride of Frankenstein. Now, not every sequel for all of the Universal movie monsters are necessarily legendary sequels, but Bride of Frankenstein is in itself iconic. It's amazing how little screen time the bride actually has in this. Like, when you're watching the film, you just keep going, is the bride happening yet? Are we getting to the bride? Is the bride here? Where is the bride? I mean, she's the title character, yet she's also ultimately the end goal. So it's one of those cases where it's this iconic figure that doesn't really appear until the end of the film. She's got, a few minutes of screen time, and from the blind perspective, these films are weird because the characters, the reason that you would watch these films, Frankenstein and the Bride, they're not really known for being talkative, so it makes it a little hard to know what they're doing when I have no visual reference filling in what's happening on screen. So I don't know, but see, one of the reasons I'm also doing this and why I'm just a giant bitch is because I used to be able to see, so I know what sighted people get to do. We just kind of, back when I was part of you, there's going to be at least one sighted person who watches this. When I was with you, I remember it was really cool. You just kind of like flipped on TV and watched whatever you wanted. You just kind of walked into a movie theater and you're like, oh, I could see this. Oh, it's not even in English. That's fine. I can read the subtitles. It's just this sort of like thing that you just take for granted. You're like, I got this. Hold my beer. But being blind, do you have audio description? Well, I have no idea what's going to happen in this movie otherwise, so I don't know. But I'm boldly stepping forward into all of these things. So yeah, I know what the bride looks like conceptually because, again, was sighted. No, I'm not. Went to film school, then lost my vision. Good choices in life. But so yeah, I know what the bride looks like. And it's iconic. It's an iconic look, and it's recreated, and people dress up as the bride. And she has almost no screen time. So that's the kind of raise that you get when you are a designer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you have created something that's so iconic that resonates, and you're barely in your own movie. So the rest of the story is kind of like the rest of the book. It starts off kind of oddly with, I think it's like Percy Shelley and like some other authors talking about like the story as if this really happened, and everybody sounds, yes, really, yes. Tell us, Percy. Tell us what do you think of this story? Tell me the story of what happened. It's a very interesting way of speaking. The whole cast was gay. This is a very gay movie. I should have done this during Pride Month. Um, Frank. Then we eventually get to Dr. Frank. I can't. I can't. Everybody is just. Anyway, I think David Wayne just realized that gay actors were exactly what he needed for his movies, and he just populated them with them. So, kudos. Thanks for hiring us. Anyway, so yeah, there's a Dr. Pretorius. He shows up. The movie totally ignores the ending of the first Frankenstein. Like, everybody's alive. So, it's just the monster, Dr. Frankenstein, everything's chill. They're all like, oh, we lived, we're here. And Dr. Pretorius goes up and he's like, oh, I want you to build me. I love that it's an emergency too. Like, he's like, I have to see him now. Now! His Frankenstein's assistant, and Pretorius meets with Frankenstein. He's like, I want you to build me. I want you to do the same thing, but build a woman. It's kind of creepy when you think about it, by the way. Like, it's like, dude, you want to build a woman, like, for you? Like, for what? But maybe Guillermo del Toro will go after the Bride of Frankenstein next. So, yeah, it's, and then it has elements of the book in it, like the whole sequence with the blind guy that's in the book, and I haven't seen Del Toro's movie yet, but I've heard it's also in Del Toro's Frankenstein. That's here. So because it wasn't used in the first Frankenstein, he goes and visits the blind man, who's like, who are you? Oh, you're injured, my friend. Come inside. And I'm thinking to myself at the time, all Frankenstein says is, rah, rah, rah. And I was like, I'm blind. So if somebody came to my door and they were making those noises, I would assume zombies have taken over. I would not invite the thing into I'd be like, oh my God, it's The Walking Dead. But it's also possible that in a world where we're now more aware of like nonverbal people, that maybe we just be like, well, maybe he's just nonverbal and he doesn't know how to communicate. So he's communicating to me through whatever, and I just can't see it. So I have to let this person in. So, but he befriends the monster just like he does in the books. They don't change that. Frankenstein doesn't go into the house and rip his head off immediately or something like that. It's like nothing crazy like that in the 1935 movie. But the funny thing is that you have that scene, and then like later on, the monster is sitting down with Dr. Pretorius, who's like, yes, I want to build you a friend. Do you like that? Wouldn't you? A friend. And then Frankenstein's like, friend? I'm like, oh God, he's speaking now. Woman. You do understand what you are, aren't you? Dead. I was like, oh my God, what are we doing here? So that was kind of weird, because the whole time Frankenstein had just gone through like a whole movie up until this point, just going, "Arr, arr." And then you have this thing where he's like communicating, like he's on a learning language app. So yeah, it's I picked up on some of this. Um, and I don't know. Then I go through it, and there's a part two where I'm like, well, it's 1935, so it's not gonna be that gory. And they're like, bring me the brain, bring me the heart. You know, like they're assembling the bride, and I'm like, I'm sure this looks very tame, despite what they're describing. And of course, then the bride they're waiting for, it seems to be like a lightning storm to get the electricity to bring the bride to life, and then the bride's brought to life, and then iconography, and hooray, everything wins. This is Boris Karloff, who is Frankenstein, does a great job, always just being the iconic Frankenstein and moaning and stumbling and walking and sort of creating the initial image of Frankenstein's monster. I should say Frankenstein's monster. It's funny how we always say it's Frankenstein, but it's really not. Frankenstein's the doctor. It's the monster. Anyway, but yeah, it's an iconic role for him. There are scenes it's hard to understand what's going on because there's no dialogue, and of course I never really know where we are, what set we're in. I would love to know more about just in general, the design and stuff like that. I think about sort of like what audio description would provide me, and it would be a lot of like who's in what room, who's talking to who, the reactions, like a lot of the actors are taking. I think it would definitely, I think they'd be able to tackle the look of the bride, though, when she finally comes alive. So I think there would be a description of that, and probably a lot of that stuff. It's not, audio description doesn't have quite all the time in the world to go through, camera angles and framing and perspective and stuff like that. So it is more about what are the basics that, let's get as much necessary content out as possible, and then build out from there depending on how much gap in dialogue we have. It's usually where audio description fills in. So Bride of Frankenstein, it's not even that long of a movie. It's pretty easy, but it's a Universal movie monster. And did you know that none of these films are described? Huh. Did you know that they were all re-released on 4K last year, and Universal chose to not add audio description to the physical release? So, like I said, my starter review was The House That Jack Built. Why? Because, well, it was released by IFC Midnight in 2018 when audio description was already prominent. So IFC could have easily created audio description for it, and it didn't. And then House of Jack Built has gone on to be sort of a horror staple among those in the community. Bride of Frankenstein is definitely that, and it has been re-released recently with a 4K restoration. It's a staple to Universal's movie monster collection. They have this Dark Universe section now at Epic Universe that's dedicated to these monsters. So if you like it, you got to put a ring on it, right? There's no ring on Bride of Frankenstein. However, I was thinking about this. I would have liked this movie had it had audio description, and I'm not going to be the guy on Rotten Tomatoes with a negative review for Bride of Frankenstein. So I'm going to give it the lowest possible score that I can to still get it across the fresh meter, and I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's not the best watch in the world, but I didn't have the worst time with it. I wouldn't recommend it without audio description, though. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.